seeing us over the last couple of weeks. I guess that's a no, huh? What type of challenges do you see going into Thursday night's game that you've seen, from this Chargers team over the last few weeks, but also the first time you all played them?
I mean, it's a big challenge. Talk about one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Got a lot of skill, playmakers on the field. I mean, this is a big challenge for us. I think this game is probably the most important game, we've played, up until this point. So it's going to take all of us to kind of get it done.
You've all been very good over the last couple of seasons, knowing what's at stake, knowing what's ahead, trying to obviously capture the division title, knowing that if you all lose this game, basically, they sweep and they, have a leg up on the inside track. How important is this game versus the previous games that you all played against division rivals?
I mean, like I just said, I think this game, means the most. We know what's at stake. Obviously, the Chargers are a pretty good football team, and we expect those guys to give us their best shot. I think the last time we played those guys, it went their way, and so we got that on our mind, and so we're really just hoping we could go in there with some great energy and kind of just take over the place.
How would you describe how much different the defense is today than it was in that game? Obviously, there's some personnel differences, but also you guys have certainly gelled. I mean, but how would you describe that difference?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big difference. I think if you go back to the first game, it came down to a lot of critical plays. A lot of third downs, a couple fourth down plays that they were able to convert on. And I think if you look back on it, it was really us and our communication and misalignments that really allowed those guys to kind of win those situations. So we got that on our mind. So I think communication, situational communication is going to be critical for us this game. I think when you're playing against a quarterback like that with those kind of athletes on the field, we understand that fourth down is like third down to those guys, and so we got to be ready.
Are there some things you need to keep in mind on every play when you're playing against this team and this quarterback in particular?
Yeah, I think, ultimately number one is, how can we, affect the quarterback? How can we get him off his spots? How can we just harass him early on? And then from there is, identifying playmakers. Where's 30, where's 13, where's 81, formational awareness. So we'll be ready.
Chris, the first thing you mentioned was affecting the quarterback, and Chris might not be available to play on Thursday. What's that going to be like trying to get after him if Chris doesn't play?
Yeah, I mean, Chris is, one of those players, probably the only guy you could really compare to him is probably Aaron Donald. You know what I mean? When you talk about just inside, just dominance, you know what I mean? So it's going to be a big challenge for us to, replace him, but I think we're more healthier, than ever defensively. I think up front, we're able to rotate those guys in and out. I think all those things will work out for us Thursday.
After the game the other day, you said you were trying to give L'Jarius his space, but it's been 2 days. Just wondering if you've talked to him since then and how he's doing right now.
Well, he actually texted me. He told me he loved me. And so for me, that was really all I needed to hear. Obviously, I think, he's dealing with a lot right now. But football means a lot to him. It means a lot to his family. I feel like, in my opinion, and the things that I've went through, I think he has some motivation going forward. So I think he's one of those guys that's going to, capitalize off of this.
Tyrann, quarterbacks are usually described as elite or not. You guys obviously have one. Spags said that about Herbert during his media on Monday. What makes Herbert, in your film review, elite in this league?
I mean, he's just obviously, he's one of those quarterbacks that can really see the whole field. He's big. He stands strong in the pocket. He could really extend plays for a long period of time. Obviously, he's a great athlete. And then if you kind of couple that with the playmakers that he has and the coaching that he has, he's almost unstoppable, in a sense. So it's going to be important for us to kind of hopefully rattle him early. But like I said, he's one of those guys that you can see on tape. He's poised. He knows where to go with the ball. And then like I mentioned earlier, I think critical situations, he's aware of what to do with the ball. So, we've got to be a step ahead of him.
Tyrann, given that it's a short week, when did you start preparing for the Chargers? Like, how quickly did you go from Sunday's game to obviously understanding that you're on such a quick pace this week?
Yeah, I don't even think I watched I usually watch the game that I played in that night. Went straight to the Chargers film. Obviously we won't play the Raiders, anymore this season. Obviously, there's some corrections you could take from every game, but with it being a short week, you just got to flip the page. I'd probably say, yeah, for the last couple of days, I've been on it.
Tyrann, if you could backtrack to your rookie year, what do you feel like was the best learning experience that you got? I mean, as far as advice from veterans, going through training camp, going through film, and just actually being on the field.
Oh man, my rookie year, I'd probably say just that competition. Being able to go up against Larry Fitzgerald, each and every day. It's like that old quote, iron sharpen iron. I think you can learn a lot, from competing against a guy that know what they're doing. That's probably one of the biggest takeaways. I had a lot of good coaches too. I had Ty Bowles, who's one of those defensive coordinators. I learned a lot. And then I competed at a high level a lot, as a rookie. So I think that all those things kind of helped springboard me, as an athlete.
It seemed like in 2019, you guys got a bit of a shot in the arm when guys like Mike Pennell and Terrell Suggs came in mid-season. What is it that a guy coming in during the year can bring to a team from the outside?
Fresh energy. I think that's probably the biggest thing. And then most of those guys are motivated too when they get in. I think their level of work, their level of preparation is high, and I think everybody around them kind of sees that. And so it's like I said a couple weeks ago. It's a lot more leaders than just Hitchens and Mathieu. I think a lot of guys want to be able to take on that responsibility. I think Melvin, he's one of them.
Each week presents its own challenge, each opponent presents its challenge, but given the significance of the game, you guys traveling, the time crunch that you're in, what will this week sort of reveal to you about where you guys are right now as a team, and what will it mean if you guys are able to have a successful back-to-back where you win Sunday and Thursday?
I think it'll say a lot about us, if we're able to win this game. Obviously, really our commitment to each other, and how bad do we want it, or is 9 wins enough for us? So I think it's still a lot out there, that we can own. You know what I mean? And I think the team feels that, the locker room feels that, we just want to be better than we were the last time around. And so we got a lot of motivation, going into this one. Like I said, we understand how important it is, how big it is. We understand what kind of dudes, we're going up against too. So, and then the whole world's watching. So it's going to be one of those nights that, every play counts, every series counts. Penalties, all those things going to be a big factor.
Tyrann, yesterday the NFL had an all-time high number of COVID positive cases. Obviously, the world's dealing with COVID more than it was a couple months ago when the season started. What do you guys do as players, knowing this? I mean, are there extra elements extra safety elements that you guys can do, or just kind of stay behind with what you've been doing?
I think it's really kind of the same mindset. I want to say you want to put yourself in the same mindset, you did a year ago. You know what I mean? When you get to the back end of the season, you don't want to be one of those guys that's not available. And I think that's the most important thing. I think obviously this is a big game for us, and every game from here on out, it has a lot on the line for us. So the more that you can be available for your team, you just have to do everything you can in your power to hope that you can stay available.
How do you battle complacency, though? Speaking of that situation right there, to not get complacent because, some people do get a sense of they're invulnerable.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's always something more that you could work towards. And I think if you could, obviously, keep the team in your mind, keep that perspective, you'll always have something to work on. You'll always have something to get better at. You'll always, want to chip in and help the team. And so, and then obviously, you got to have good leaders. You have got to have guys that love to come to work. I think that's like the most important thing. So, if you got a lot of guys that love to come to work, you could fight that temptation, of really, thinking you've arrived or made it.
Tyrann, I asked Patrick this, and I believe you're a baseball guy. I know your son plays baseball, so I want to ask you about the announcement, former Negro League player Buck ONeil being inducted to the Hall of Fame. What does that do for the culture of sport?
I think it's huge, man. Obviously, you know, I grew up in New Orleans, and you know, baseball was a big sport. And, you know, you would like to see more and more, you know, young black men kind of engage in the sport the way I did when I was young. So I think him being inducted, you know, and then, you know, obviously kids today seeing that, you know, hopefully that's a inspiration to those guys that could be them one day. So that's a big honor. That's huge that the MLB, you know, finally came around to that decision. But I'm hoping that it serves well, you know, for a lot of the young black men that, you know, obviously think that it's just football and basketball, but I think baseball is one of those sports, you know, we could play as well. Yep.
Hey, speaking of baseball, Tyrann, thanks for coming out of the bullpen.
Oh, thank you.